What's up, everybody? This is Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. That's HawgSports.com. Today on the show, we're going to break down everything about Arkansas versus Portland State. Pete Roulier is going to join us to talk a little bit about the matchups. Danny West is going to join us later to talk recruiting. This is your Arkansas-Portland State primer. All right, everybody. First of all, I want to get to a few housekeeping items, I guess you could call them. So, Trey Knox, Cheyenne O'Grady, a lot of discussion about those two guys. It's kind of a weird situation because Chad Moore said he wasn't going to practice on Wednesday, and he didn't technically, but about 10 minutes into practice in period 2, he came trotting out on the field. He said something like, "Turn me up," as he went into the practice field. He lined up with the wide receivers to run routes. He was in shoulder pads, helmet, shorts. Everybody was wearing the same thing, and didn't take any reps as far as running routes. Just got in line and then kind of jogged to the other end when they'd start going and doing lines again. So I don't know what that was exactly, but Chad Morris says they're going to see what he can do Thursday. They keep waiting on some kind of word. It sounds like it's not like maybe he can't go. It's just like waiting on some kind of word for seeing if he can go. And if he can go Friday, then Moore seems to think that he'll be able to go Saturday, whether that means a lot of work or a little work. Sounds more like it would be a little work. So Cheyenne O'Grady still out there in green. No contact, but nobody was doing contact the other day. He still looks like he has a little bit of a limp, but I mean, he's running. He looks good when he's running. So sometimes you see players that limp, and then they can go full speed when they're running. So that's kind of the update right there with a couple of key injuries heading into this one. I want to remind everybody to like, share, comment, follow. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you like the content that we have at HawgSports.com. Always streaming on Facebook Live. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and interact with the video. YouTube, we always upload to YouTube, so throw us that thumbs up, like right now if you like the content. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifications bell after you subscribe so you're notified anytime we upload a new video. Available on Apple Podcasts. No More in Razorback Show on Apple Podcasts. Throw us a review if you like the content. Give us 5 stars. Spotify and Stitcher also. HawgSports.com is just $1 right now for your first month, or you can sign up for a year, get 30% off your first year, and that comes with a 7-day free trial. So very little to lose for your number one insider source on the Razorbacks. Okay. I want to thank everybody for joining us on Hog Sports Live today. Arkansas, we're going to get into this game, but like I said, I want to go over a few things, a few housekeeping type things. And go ahead and make sure to get your comments in. Danny West will come on and join and answer some questions along with Pete Roulier. So Arkansas and Missouri have been moved to Arrowhead Stadium for 2020. I love this. I don't like going to Columbia, first of all. And I know they're redoing a lot of stuff, but it's just this. I know it's the media amenities are just not very good in Columbia. So I'm excited about seeing that one. And that really brings me to, first of all, Cincinnati, Arkansas and Cincinnati, that's been added to the 2022 schedule for September 3rd, 2022. So that's a good non-conference game. It'll be in Razorback Stadium, just a one-game deal. But that kind of brings me to the upcoming schedule. I'll put a little practice video up here for you guys. This is from Wednesday practice footage for those who are watching. So 2020 schedule, I'm jumping all the way ahead to 2020. I'm not even talking 2019 right now. We're jumping to 2020 because that is the nicest looking schedule I think I've ever seen. And before that, it would probably be 2016 when you had at TCU. That was a cool venue to go to. You had Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, and Florida as your home games. That's a heck of a schedule right there. And then ended up playing Virginia Tech Hokies at Bank of America Stadium. But 2020, this is your 2020 schedule now. At Notre Dame to open the season. At Notre Dame. There'll be a lot of Hog fans going to that one. Okay? Then you get Texas A&M and Arlington. You got the game to end the season at Arrowhead against Missouri and Kansas City. I mean, those away venues that's pretty solid. And this is your home slate. Alabama in Fayetteville, LSU in Fayetteville, Tennessee in Fayetteville, and Ole Miss in Fayetteville. That's a pretty good schedule right there. That is you got to assume a lot of Arkansas fans are going to go to Arlington. A lot of them are going to go to Arrowhead. A lot of them are going to go to Notre Dame when else you're going to have a chance to do that. So that's pretty cool setup right there. Fast forward a little bit to 2021, you get Texas. You get Texas in Fayetteville. The rotational opponent is Georgia. The Eastern rotation is Georgia in Sanford Stadium 2021. 2022, you get the Cincinnati game we were talking about. It's at BYU that year, and your rotational guy is South Carolina in Fayetteville. 2023, BYU returns to Fayetteville, and your rotational is Florida Gators in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. 2024, open with UAPB. And I think you played UAPB the year before also. So that opens up, playing in-state opponents. That's Oklahoma State season. So Arkansas will go to Boone Pickens Stadium to play Oklahoma State. The rotational is Kentucky returning to Fayetteville. Arkansas plays Kentucky this year. So that's the next time when that game returns. And then 2025 is that first Memphis game, Liberty Bowl. And then you get Notre Dame in Fayetteville. Rotational guy is... Who's your rotational? I can't see him. Oh, Vanderbilt in Nashville. 2026. I like the way Arkansas' schedule is shaping up. So 2026, you lose the, you don't know what the rotational is and stuff for the SEC, but you got Utah in Utah and Memphis in Razorback Stadium. The next year, you got Oklahoma State in Fayetteville in 2027. In 2028, you got Utah coming back to Fayetteville. You also play Memphis, I think both of those years. And then 2029, you got Tulsa. 2032, you've got Oklahoma State. And 2033, you've got Oklahoma State. So that's the way Arkansas' schedule is shaping up here over the next, decade plus, the next 14 seasons. So pretty cool. Guys, if you want to watch Arkansas's next opponent after Portland State, they play the Ole Miss Rebels the following week at 6:30 p.m. I think that's on SEC Network. But you can watch them Saturday morning, first game, 11 a.m. on ABC, Ole Miss at Memphis, and get a good feel for what the Rebels have this year. They got a new quarterback, so a lot of changes there. We talked a lot about Arkansas's freshmen of impact. I mean, there are 12 freshmen, including 9 true freshmen in Arkansas's depth chart. We talked a lot about that on Monday's show, but it just blows me away to see so many freshmen. We knew this was a very highly regarded class, obviously, but man, it's crazy to think about, and that doesn't even include Traylon Burks, who's going to be your starting punt returner, or Jalen Catalon, who could also be your starting punt returner. It doesn't even include those two guys, so it's just offense and defense. You got 12 and 9 true freshmen, 12 total freshmen in the two deep. I just think that's crazy. Really anxious to see what Traylon Burks does in the opener. You would like to think that Portland State is going to punt a lot, so maybe he gets a lot of opportunities. But I'm anxious to see, mostly out of all the freshmen, I think he's the one I'm most anxious to see. And obviously would love to see Trey Knox. I don't know how that situation is going to work. We don't have any media availability the rest of the week. The next time we'll talk to Chad Morris, after talking to him yesterday, the next time we'll talk to Chad Morris is Saturday around 6:30, probably after the game, maybe 7, depending on how the game goes. Nick Starkel was not at practice yesterday. Luke Laufenberg, who unfortunately UTEP tight end, succumbed to a rare form of cancer, 21 years old, just the worst. Son of former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Babe Laufenberg. I think I'm saying that name right. I hope I am, but man, it's tragic. He was a high school teammate of Nick Starkel, so that's where he was. So thoughts and prayers to his family, of course. So Arkansas and Portland State. Are we ready to jump into this? I might bring Pete Roulier in early, because Pete's got the stories on Arkansas versus Portland State. So let me jump into a couple of questions before we bring Pete in, but that's coming up here probably in about 5-10 minutes. Curtis Kendrick says, "Woo pig." I know everybody's excited for this game. I mean, I think I said the other day on Drive Time, I think the most disappointing thing that could happen since November of last year is for Arkansas to come out sloppy in this one. That would be extremely disappointing. I think they're going to come out very crisp. I look for them to charge down the field on offense very early. I could see Portland State coming out with some scripted stuff early and punching one in. I could absolutely see that. You get a little bit of jitters and stuff, so I could absolutely see that. But I think that Arkansas is going to come out strong on offense. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot from Portland State in the middle quarter, second quarter, third quarter. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of them, producing much. And then I could see late fourth quarter, you get your more developmental guys out there. Maybe they get a touchdown field goal. So I've got it, I think 52-17, I think is what I have. I think that's what I predicted. My overall prediction, I went Arkansas to go 6-6 this season, win 2 in the SEC. I think my 2 were Kentucky and Mississippi State, but I think they'll win 2 of the 4 between Kentucky, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Missouri. I think they can get 2 of those 4, win your 4 non-conference games, and I think Arkansas goes to a bowl game this year. So, Terry Humphrey says, Woo Pig from Naples, Italy. Wow. TJ Hedge says, Woo Pig. Tim Johnson says, Woo Pig from Jonesboro. Trey Ballard says, how much Hudson Henry do we expect to see this weekend? I think you're going to see some. I could absolutely see them holding out Cheyenne O'Grady, even though he's doing what you would expect him to do to be able to play in a game, but I still think he'll be limited in the game, not see a whole lot of action. But it looks to me like they're preparing Hudson to play. I mean, he was rolling with the second group yesterday. Now, he was with the scout team at the Beanie Bowl. He was dressed in the scout team uniform. But I think you're going to see Hudson Henry. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets more and more integrated to the offense. Having that concussion set him back just a little bit. Johnny Brooks says, who's going to be the leading running back and wide receivers in yards? I think the running back is going to be Rakeem Boyd, hands down. If he stays healthy, it'll be Rakeem Boyd. Wide receiver, I could see it being Trey Knox. I could see it being Traylon Burks. I could see it being Mike Woods. I mean, Mike Woods had 18 catches as a freshman. So to give you an answer, Johnny Brooks, I'm going to go with Traylon Burks, and the reason is because he's lining up in the slot. And I see that as a position that gets a lot of quick passes, a lot of bubble screens. I mean, they had a wide receiver who lined up in that position at SMU who had over 100 catches. I'm not saying that either of these guys are going to have 100 catches, but I could see it being the guy that lines up in the slot the most. And right now that looks like it's going to be Trey Burks. At 6'3", 223-pound slot receiver, by the way. Casey Rowland says, I'm so dadgum pumped about this season. I think we can really go 6-6, if not 7-5. Try not to be over optimistic. Everybody knows my stance on the healthy approach to this season, and that's to watch a young team grow and get to a bowl game and then provide. If they do that, then you got to feel good about where they were headed in 2020. There's going to be some mistakes. This is a prime example. So yesterday I'm watching them do kickoff return, okay? And they've been spending a lot of time doing kickoff return, punt return here lately. And Isaiah Nichols is back, right? It's a short kick on purpose. They kick it to about the 20, 15-yard line, something like that. And Nichols picks it up and he scoops it and tosses it back to one of the return men. It's a fumble. The return men aren't expecting that. It's great that happened in practice and not a game. It's great that happened. That's a great learning moment for everybody that saw that. So great that happened in practice, but not a game. But there will be things like that happen, especially when you're considering there's so many true freshmen. Now, they're going to get better and more comfortable and more crisp throughout the year, but there are going to be things like that happen that frustrate you. That things that are going to subside a little bit in 2020 with these guys. Austin Gibson says, Woo Pig from Denver. David Shaw says, hope I'm surprised, but I think running the ball is going to be an issue. It's possible. I mean, I think the offensive line is going to be better. I don't think they're going to be great. They're going to struggle against some really good teams, I think. But, I mean, you go back to last year, I think they ran for 83 yards in the opener, which is pathetic considering the opponent, Eastern Illinois, that they played. They couldn't pass the ball early either until Ty Story came into the game in the second quarter. But running the ball, they never got it going. But I think they've got better running backs than they had last year because, their main guys return and they're, you would expect them to be better, especially Rakeem Boyd, considering, him just being thrown into it last year, literally 30 days before the first game he arrives on campus. So Terry Humphrey says moving to an NFL stadium makes the rivalry even more eventful and brings a neutral ground to more than a standard college stadium. I don't know if it'll be beyond that year, but they have a return game that they promised Arrowhead people that they would come back for. Danny West makes a great point. It's hilarious that the battle line rivalry between Arkansas and Missouri is played on the Missouri-Kansas border. Sam Kerr says, do you feel Rakeem Boyd will be a top 3 running back this season? I believe he will. I think it's possible. There are a lot of great running backs in this league, but I don't know that there's going to be 3 better ones. I think if he stays healthy, I could see him having a huge year, like 1,400 yards type of year. I really do. Steve Henderson says, thoughts on Trey Knox and how much he'll play Saturday. I could see him not playing at all or playing a little. I don't think you're going to see more than 20 snaps out of him. the way it's gone, with probably not the way he was practicing yesterday. But okay, he looked like he was couldn't go out and do anything yesterday. But from just the language that I'm hearing, it feels a little more like it's a deal where they're just waiting on an official word he can go, and then he's out there full speed. Not like he's easing into it off of an injury or he's still sick or something like that, or he's drained from whatever injury it is or whatever illness it is. Austin Gibson said it was pads and helmet yesterday. We'll know more today if he practices. Yes. Johnny Brooks says 8 wins, which I believe Johnny Brooks is the absolute ceiling for this team. That's everything going right. You can't believe it. Everything went right, which isn't going to happen. I mean, everything's not going to go right, although Arkansas is due for some of that. Chris Dupuis says, I was just tagging somebody. Terry Roy says Knox is good. Yes, he is, Terry. You're right on that. David Smith says my thought is 6 wins this year. I think you're probably right, but next year 8, maybe 9. I mean, you get to your tough teams at home next year, your really tough teams at home. You got to go to Notre Dame next year. Dustin Hoofman says, seems that we get beat a lot by a passing offensive. How is our secondary looking? Secondary's young. I worry about the backups. I mean, you got to walk on this backup free safety right now. You got a lot of freshmen in there, so, you got to stay healthy. All right, everybody. I think, let me see if I'm supposed to bring in Pete Roulier, what time I told him. And, yep, it's time for Pete. All right, so we're going to give me just a second to bring in Pete Roulier, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the matchup, what he's seeing with Portland State, because he's done a little bit of a breakdown with that.
Trey.
What's up, Pete? How you doing, man?
Turn me up.
Turn you up, man. That's what they need for Trey Knox. Absolutely, they need to turn him up.
Right.
So, Pete, I'll just let you in a little bit what we've been doing here. I've just kind of gone over some housekeeping stuff like schedule and stuff. We kind of broke down the schedule all the way to 2032, jumping ahead a little bit. But I know that you have a little bit of insight. You've written some stories this week on just kind of previewing Arkansas's offense versus Portland State's defense and vice versa. We'll start, if you don't mind, with Arkansas and Portland State's awkward defense. What are you hearing about those guys?
So Portland State runs a really awkward defense, and the reason I say that is because in this day in college football, it does not really make a lot of sense to be running a 5 front on defense. I don't know if you agree with me on that or not, but it's just awkward because people don't see it anymore. It's kind of a flex defense that was popularized, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s. And what it is basically the most basic way I can put it is they got a 4 front with 4 defensive linemen. And it looks pretty normal. And I was watching film on their game last year against Oregon, and this is why it looks so weird. Because they bring a linebacker in, and it's not like the linebacker is coming in and he's blitzing you usually see on a normal defense, because it's every single play. He 100% acts as another defensive tackle. So you are facing a 5 front, which is pretty unusual, and that allows them to do a lot of things, bring pressure in different ways, different kind of linebacker blitzes. So that's going to be really interesting to see, and why that's interesting is because you got 5 guys on the offensive line that are playing together really for the first week this week, you know what I mean, for Arkansas, because of injuries to Capps and Jackson, and they just moved Myron Cunningham to right guard. So there's not a lot of continuity right now, so it'll be really interesting to see how that works. And on the back end, the secondary is going to be playing a lot of man coverage, and I think that's going to be really good news for Arkansas, because if your receivers can't get open against FCS-level cornerbacks in man-to-man coverage, you got a lot of problems. So I anticipate receivers are going to be wide open. Just like I watched the Oregon game, pretty much every play there's 2 or 3 receivers wide open. So you got to be able to hit those guys. It might just take a while for them to get used to it. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Pete Roulier joining us from HawgSports.com. Pete has been with us 7 months, 8 months, something like that, doing a great job, covers all things Razorback, football, basketball, baseball, chips in on recruiting, but has done a great job here breaking down Arkansas's upcoming opponent in Portland State. So, Pete, let's flip it over the other way. Razorback defense versus the tricky Portland State offense.
Right. I guess I say that because it is also kind of like their defense, a little bit different in a way. They run a lot of pistol formation, which is, of course, where they have the running back behind the quarterback and shotgun. Not the same distance, lined up about 5 yards, maybe a little closer in the shotgun formation. So that's a little interesting. They run a lot of 2 tight end sets, so that allows them to do a lot of different things and a lot of motions, and that means Arkansas is going to be playing a lot of base defense with 3 linebackers. So it'll be an exciting game to see what Hayden Henry can do at that same position for Arkansas. Big guys to look out for. It's going to be, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to say his name. The tight end, Charlie T, and it's spelled Tom Pett. Okay,
oh, you nailed
Charlie
it.
T. Did I? Okay, yeah.
Tomapoa. Tomapoa, it looks
Tomapoa.
like. Yeah, we'll go
Yeah,
Tomapoa. Yeah, 73 catches for
guy,
1,200 yards last year and 8 touchdowns.
He's the real deal, and the thing about it is he's a big game performer. He had 2 touchdowns against Oregon last season. So he's going to want to step up, and he's going to be an NFL pick probably around the 4th round, I think is where he's projected now. They use him in a lot of things. I even saw that they brought him in motion and used him in an option play. So, I mean, he's their best player. It's by far and away their best player. Interesting thing about them is they got 2 quarterbacks that they're going to play, both dual threat guys. They got, let me see.
Davis Alexander and Jelani
Eason.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Davis Alexander, the starter, better thrower. Eason's got the better legs. I wouldn't be surprised if they use that to their advantage. Maybe bring Eason in. Arkansas is going to expect them to run, of course, and then maybe throw Eason a little bit more than expected. Just some things to kind of throw Arkansas off guard. But, expect a lot of option plays and then expect to see Charlie T quite a bit.
I think we're going to see a lot of option-type stuff from Arkansas, a lot of RPO game. I mean, it feels like every day in practice that is what we get is the RPO game. I mean,
right,
every single day in practice. So they're really working that side of the offense.
I was watching the Portland State defense that we talked about was so awkward, and I kind of had a thought. And it was a lot of people wondered why Ben Hicks was named the starter if Starkville clearly has the better talent.
Mm-hmm.
Man, just looking at this defense, it's going to be, I think a game manager gives you the best chance to win this game right off the bat.
Yeah.
Just because it's going to be so interesting. And then you got those 5 linemen that are just coming together this week. Having a quarterback back there that's confused is really going to hurt you. So Hicks knowing the offense, that might have gone maybe just a little bit into the thought process of naming him the starter week 1.
I can tell you a little bit what's going to happen, though. I mean, like, Hicks is probably the better choice at this stage, definitely, just because of the management. You got so many freshmen involved in the offense. But people are going to see when Starkville comes in, they're going to see that arm for the first time, maybe connect on a deep pass or something, and it's going to be even more controversial. I mean, people wanted Starkville. He's the most recent guy. He's got the biggest arm, so it seems like there's a huge contingency of fans that want him, even though most people haven't seen practice at all. It's amazing how many people think KJ Jefferson. Somebody was like,
right.
Somebody slammed me on one of my videos because I didn't even mention KJ Jefferson, who's not in the mix for this quarterback starting job right now. He's just not. I mean, anybody who goes out there and sees him will see a laser, and then they'll see a throw at somebody's feet and a duck and a laser beam. I mean, it's just like it's very inconsistent right now. And I've talked about historically with quarterbacks, you never, ever, ever, ever see on this level a quarterback come in who didn't enroll for the spring semester, who's a true freshman, and start out of the gate, first game as a starter. People bring up Mitch Mustaine a lot, but it was actually Robert Johnson who started that game for Arkansas. But you just don't see that. And it's amazing to me the outpouring of people who are saying KJ Jefferson should start or Nick Starkville, which I can agree with Nick Starkville. I can understand that. He's got a big arm. You got some guys that can go up and get it, some deep threats. I like the idea of that, but I understand why they went with Hicks.
Well, to your point, Morris even mentioned it. It's not that he's an idiot. He can't see that Starkville's got the better arm. Mm-hmm. He came out and said it. Yeah, the ball comes out of his hands a lot better than it does Hicks, but that doesn't matter. That's not why we're starting Hicks game 1. Mm-hmm. So it's not you're not a genius just because you can say that Starkville can throw it better than Hicks does, because everyone can see it, even if you watch 2 minutes of practice video.
Mm-hmm. What are you predicting, Pete? What do you think? How do you think this game's going to play out?
I think I went 45-10, and I kind of agree with you that there's probably going to be a scripted play early on or a scripted drive from Portland State that they might punch it in the end zone or get 3 points out of it. And then maybe in the back end of the game, with some developmental players, maybe get some more points there for Portland State. But I went with 45, which I think is a little lower score for Arkansas than what you and Danny predicted. And maybe it's just because of those 5 linemen starting to have to come together and then Arkansas might have to figure it out. It might not just be all smooth sailing for the first quarter or so. But once they figure it out, and the receivers are going to be open, so you're going to get a lot of big plays. I feel like.
Well, I could see I don't mean to call it a throwaway fourth quarter, but I could see them going with a lot of developmental players that could keep that score maybe a little bit more down. Probably not.
Well, if you're an Arkansas fan, you should hope for that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I mean, also you want to see them come out and just roll somebody. But at the same time, they didn't. Last year they had 5 forced turnovers, 5 fumble recoveries against Eastern Illinois, and a 55. I can't remember what Eastern Illinois scored, but Arkansas scored 55, and just. I wonder what it would have been like, because Arkansas started off so slow if Arkansas didn't get any turnovers forced. So odds are defense is going to force 5 turnovers in this one. But anything else, Pete?
I think that's it, man. My closing words are I love what Eric Musselman's doing on social media still.
Yeah.
The kid is killing the game. Today he put out a video where he's sitting in the locker room, runs out of the locker room onto the field and says, Colton State, 3 p.m., be there. It's just so unusual, but I think he's killing the game.
Yeah, he's doing all those crazy pictures, those iconic NBA pictures and stuff.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So wild.
Yeah. All right, Pete. Pete Roulier. Appreciate you, man.
All right, turn me up. Bye.
All right, that's Pete Roulier. Turn him up for sure. So we're going to go ahead and bring in Danny West now. Again, if you like Pete Roulier's stuff, be sure to go to HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com, and sign up there. Also, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter at HawgSports.com, all you have to do is go to the page. You scroll down. There's a place to enter your email. You enter your email, and we're going to send you free. We might send like a couple of VIP articles, but the majority easily is going to be free content on the Razorbacks. We'll also send you breaking news stuff, but every morning we're going to send you a newsletter, and that's especially big for Saturday because Saturday we send basically all of our best stuff, all of our game preview stuff. So you wake up in the morning, you get your coffee, you log on to your email, and there's your newsletter with basically every single possible breakdown, everything you could imagine, videos and all that stuff to get you ready for your college football Saturday. So next we're going to bring up Danny West. He's going to talk a little bit about recruiting and also about this game coming up. So for those of you who don't know Danny West, what are you doing? What are you doing if you don't know who Danny West is? Danny has been covering Razorback recruiting for a decade, been with us forever at HawgSports.com, the guy to know when it comes to Razorback recruiting. So make sure you're following him on Twitter at DannyWest1 and going to HawgSports.com. Most of Danny's stuff is VIP content. I mentioned $1 for your first month right now, 30% off for your first year. 2 great options to sign up for HawgSports.com. So, Danny, what's going on right now?
Well, I'm sitting here looking at my old picture from a decade ago when I started recruiting, covering recruiting.
I told you to. I asked you to hit me up and remind me to change it. Right.
It's on there.
Exactly. You act like it's just like magically happens that I insert a post. So I do all the graphics for this show. It doesn't just happen. This probably took me, 10 minutes to put together at least. So
probably.
Here you have texted me in show to get a new pickup. Like I can just do that and run the board, call you, run all the graphics, and appear on camera.
Do a photo shoot out there.
Well,
so here's what's up in recruiting.
Yeah,
Trey.
Go ahead.
Want to talk recruiting?
Yes. Let's talk a little
Not
recruiting.
Not a stellar visit list this week for our VIP subscribers that have already checked out the list. Yeah, there's not much there. I mean, a couple of offered guys that we've talked about. Catrell Wallace coming up from Bryant, Arkansas, outside linebacker, 6'6", 210, very much a priority for the Razorbacks. And then Isaiah Jacobs, running back out of Owasso. I'm actually going to get a chance to see him tomorrow night at Bentonville West. So, he's going to make a quick turnaround. He plays at Bentonville West and plans on coming back for the game on Saturday afternoon. So outside of that, there's about 8 other names that I think we've got listed right now, but I'm not sure how many people would actually recognize many of them. But so that's where it's at with the football front. You saw last night or this morning that Moses Moody put out his top 7. I can run through those schools real quick. I think it was Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Arkansas, obviously, Kansas, And I had them written down here, Trey, but I'm not seeing them. But Arkansas obviously did make the cut there. Oregon, Florida, and I think that rounds it out. But, yeah, so he's got his top 7 now. Bryce Thompson, another 4-star guy, shooting guard out of Oklahoma. Look for him to release his top 7 tonight. So looks like we're in top 7 season right now, Trey.
Yeah, top 7 season. Nothing
That's
like
it.
top 7 and some announcements for announcements, right?
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait for that one tonight.
Well, Danny, you haven't had a whole heck of a lot to do lately because it has been a dead period for the past
It's been nice,
month.
Trey.
Well, you had July, all but 1 week of July, I think. Well, you had 30 days leading up to that, and then you had a quiet period where recruits could go on campus, so you had that cookout, and that's the only thing that happened. And then you've had this dead period the entire month of August, which lifts Saturday, I guess. So
Yeah, it's coming up. Well, Sunday. Coaches can start to go out. I wouldn't anticipate Arkansas really hitting the road until after they get through that Ole Miss game. They understand how huge that game is, and they don't want any distractions from it. So not likely to see them really hit it until probably the second weekend there in September after the Ole Miss game is out of the way. So
I like the way things shape up, though, in terms of watching games, because we can first thing wake up Saturday morning after you get your HawgSports.com newsletter and go over everything to prepare you for today's game. You get 11 o'clock. You get the Memphis game, Memphis Ole Miss, so Arkansas's next opponent.
Oh, is that right? That's 11?
Yeah. And I think, is it tonight that Texas A&M plays Texas State?
That's right.
Yeah, so you get to watch Texas A&M, which is a fairly Week 5 opponent. And then Auburn and Oregon is the 6:30 Saturday game, which is probably the most intriguing matchup of the weekend. So for me, I'll be recording that one and trying to avoid scores and get home and hopefully watch that.
You know good and well Tom Murphy's going to ruin that for you.
He has. Tom has ruined games for it. Bob Holt has done the same thing.
Yeah.
So what I'll usually do in the press box, I love watching football, obviously, so I'll record a bunch of games while I'm at the Razorback game, and I'll actually try to avoid scores. I know where not to look on my screen, not to look at tickers and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I do things, and I'm going to run into some answers. I'm going to see some scores here and there, but usually I'll come out without a score for one or two of the games that I wanted to watch, and I'm able to watch the games in full and just kind of fast forward through the commercials and all that stuff. So that's how I get in as much college football as humanly possible.
I feel like
go ahead, Danny.
I'm too impatient for that. It's kind of like the gender
I get
reveal.
that.
A lot of people wait to find out what type of baby they're having.
Yeah.
I could never do that.
Oh, no.
There's zero chance.
I don't understand gender. I don't understand wait. It's going to be a surprise no matter when you find out, It's going to be a surprise. I want to remind everybody real quick here, always streaming on Facebook Live, hence the name HawgSports Live. Be sure to subscribe to our page, like the video, interact with the video. Give us a thumbs up if you like the content that we're doing right now on HawgSports Live. Always available on YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you know anytime we upload a new video. Apple Podcasts, #1 rated Razorback show on Apple Podcasts at 5 stars. Give us more 5 stars. Throw us a review. Let other people know what you like about the show. Always helps us get our message out there. Also available on Stitcher and Spotify. All right, Danny, how do you see this one playing out?
Like Quinn Grovey told us the other day, it should be just a glorified walkthrough. It's a dress rehearsal. That's the way they should treat it. Now, granted, they're not going to open up the playbook. Ole Miss doesn't have that benefit. They've got a really tough opponent. Week 1, they've got to open it up and put some things on film. Arkansas does not. So I would expect them to keep it somewhat vanilla. And, obviously you shouldn't have to pull out too many stops on this one. But, yeah, just pull away from them in the third quarter, get some young guys in there. That's what I would anticipate. Granted, we've said that before. I remember saying Coastal Carolina is going to be a walkthrough, but
oh man,
good Lord, you remember that one?
The Chanticleers.
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 That's right. So yeah, buddy, I think it'll be a blowout. It should be.
What did you go with? What was your score?
Man, I was thinking this morning.
55.
I think I went 52-10, something like that, somewhere in that range.
I think you went 55-10, maybe. I think I went 52-17. But either way,
right. That's what it was.
4 or 5 touchdowns. They should. I think they're going to cover 28.5.
Yeah.
They're coming down. So Thursday is when that's today, but Portland State's coming down early, and they're going to eat at the Catfish Hole. Did you know that? So they're going to have catfish, hush puppies, and some Gulf shrimp is on their menu. So they're coming down Thursday, trying to get acclimated a little bit to the humidity, and yeah, which is supposed to be humid in Portland, but not this time of year, and it's not like their relative humidity is a little different.
Sure. I'll tell you what, maybe those hush puppies will slow them up a little bit.
Yeah, get plenty of fried food in.
They always slow me down. I know that.
Man, it's always like you have to go in like with a game plan.
I'm telling you.
I'm not going to eat more than 7 hush puppies. I'm not going to eat more than 7 hush puppies. I know how it's going to make me feel.
Yeah.
All right, Danny. Anything else, brother?
That's it, dude. It's pretty much been on the basketball front lately. Just talked to Javion Guy King, the 2022 new offer from right here in our state, Mills High School. Had a good conversation with Javion. As a matter of fact, I want to plug our new VIP podcast. I will be inserting some of that audio, the interview with Javion. A lot of really good stuff out of that. So when you called, I was actually recording some of the VIP podcast. So I guess I'll get back to that now. Be looking for that on the Razor's Edge.
All right. That's Danny West with HawgSports.com here joining us. And appreciate you, Danny.
All right, dude. All right. See you.
All right. So just to go into a little bit of what that VIP podcast is, let me get my how-to stuff up here. So Danny goes on to the Razor's Edge, and he answers questions, and he does this every Friday. So, and it's only available to VIP subscribers. You can't copy and save the podcast or something. So it's just another one of our great features on our VIP membership at HawgSports.com. Again, HawgSports.com. All right. So I lost a lot of comments, of course. I haven't figured it out yet. So we're going to try to figure out how to get some of these. All right. So John Allen says, we're going to answer your questions here real quick, and we got about, how long we got? Not too much longer, but we have, we'll go about 6 more minutes. How about that? And answer your questions here. If I can find where to start, I got to figure out a better system for these questions. All right, John Allen says, first of all, somebody said, I think Johnny Brooks was telling Terry Roy, who's Devois' uncle, that he should be very proud of number 21. I think he sat by him at the kickoff luncheon, and absolutely should. Devois is a great young man, going to have a good season this year. I thought he was running his best last year before all the injuries started piling up on him. John Allen says, hope that naming Ben the starter has deterred. It just rolled off. It just disappeared. Sorry. They're going fast. Tever Gaddy says, any more news on TJ Hams? What's going on with his situation? So with TJ, he's suspended for 4 games. That stems to his issue that he had in the spring with not being part of the team. So I don't know exactly what's going on. TJ told me a month ago that he was going to be suspended a couple games, but it's more than that. Curtis Kendrick says, I don't recall us having 2. I'm not sure what you're talking to. That's why. Casey Rowland says, it's going to be interesting to watch Hicks and Starkel and how they handle their respective playing time. That's definitely one of the storylines with this one. How much will Nick Starkel play? When will he get in the game? How will those guys do competing against each other? I said many times, it's just a title coming out of camp. It's a title that you're the starting quarterback coming out of camp. That's it. You got to win it in games. You got to win the job in games. That's how jobs are ultimately given out. Anthony Foster says it's good to be able to say the day after tomorrow we'll be calling the Hogs. That's right. Not too much longer. Curtis Kendrick says yes. Can't wait to call the Hogs live versus Colorado State. How many people do y'all think are going to be in the stadium? I said I think 64. I think last year was 63, but I think 64, maybe a little bit more, depending on how the weather goes, would be a good opening crowd. And again, it's the ticket scan number, so that's always going to be less than are actually there because not everybody scans their tickets. Or they don't work or something, or a group of 5 will come in and scan 1 ticket, things like that. Anthony Foster says, I think this is the first year they are doing it. Doing what? Then live versus Auburn versus Mississippi State. All right, trying to find questions here. A lot of people conversing about tickets. Let's try to keep this. This would help me if everybody keeps it just to questions instead of just talking back and forth. I know it's tempting to do that, but yeah, it's hard the questions just keep rolling off the page, so it's hard to keep up with it when people are just kind of chatting back and forth. I mean, I don't even know what you are talking about on here. Soccer? You're talking about soccer? Tony Ball says 56 and 10, 2s and 3s will get a lot of reps in the second half. Boyd and Whaley will get 100 apiece and out, probably see 3 quarterbacks. I don't know if they'll be on the field long enough to get 100 apiece, but it's possible. I think Danny told me he thinks the first score will be a 37-yard run up the gut by Rakeem Boyd. I said long touchdown pass to Trey Knox. Curtis Kinder said, wouldn't mind shaking your hand game day, Trey. Well, Curtis, I usually come down through the middle field of the west stands around the fourth quarter. I like to sometimes watch the game a little bit from the fourth quarter. So if you see me walking down, come say hello. People all the time say they see me somewhere, they saw me somewhere. I'm like, why you don't say hello? Come say hello. Who would be the third back? I'm not sure, says Johnny Brooks. Third back is going to be Chase Hayden. Chase Hayden easily the third back right now. You're probably going to see a Monte Spivey play. I mean, somebody's going to get banged up. You got to have 3 healthy running backs in there. So you're going to see a Monte Spivey, especially with TJ Hammonds being suspended 4 games. So at some point, you'll see the freshman. Freshman running backs usually don't redshirt. Curtis Kendrick says 52-10, Hogs cover the spread and hit the over. What is the over under? I haven't even looked at what that is. Anthony Foster says just getting 35-17. I think that would be disappointing. David S. Smith says, I want to see TJ at quarterback in the fourth quarter. I could see them not playing TJ. I could see them maybe wanting to wait on TJ because, TJ, not KJ. You have TJ. I was like TJ. KJ in the fourth quarter, yes. I could see that possibly happening, but I could also see them not playing him just because you might need him later in the season. You don't want to play more than 4 games. We're in a bad situation if either TJ is ever playing quarterback for the Hogs. Exactly, like KJ. Brandon Bill Williams says, what is the thing? What are the things that are position groups you're looking forward to? I'm looking to see those freshman wide receivers and quarterback play. I mean, that's just natural, I think. I want to see if the offensive line – I want to see the whole offense look a lot more crisp, but really those wide receivers and quarterback. Jesse Mack says, Trey, you got predictions for the season, MVPs on both sides of the ball. MVP on offense, I'll go Rakeem Boyd. Defense, Dijon Harris, and I will go 6-6 for the season. Johnny Brooks says, don't start the – all right, there's a lot of TJ Hammonds playing quarterback stuff who's not even playing in this game. You think they can do better than the opener last year? I think possible. I mean, if you consider the score, maybe not beating the score, but if you consider the actual cleanliness, crispness of the game, I think they'll be more crisp out there. I mean, they had 5 turnovers last year by EIU, so I don't know that they're going to get 5 turnovers this year. That's pretty rare. You think quarterback is going to be on a short leash? I don't know about a short leash. I mean, obviously you come and throw a couple of interceptions or something like that early, then, yeah, you'll get yanked pretty quick. I mean, they'll go with Starkle if that happens. Trey, have fun, be happy. Football starts in 2 days. Absolutely. Haven't heard anything on either JUCO offensive lineman and Nwana. And Nwana is kind of maybe working more with the third group, Josh Hudson asked. So, but Myron Cunningham is your starting right guard and your top backup at left tackle. So he's going to start at right guard. How's football recruiting shaking up? We answered pretty much all of that. Ken Paul, Wesley Coggle says, how's Burks look returning punts? He looks, I mean, in high school he looked really good. I mean, all we've really seen him is him field them and, kind of act like he makes a move. We haven't seen anything live with punt returns yet. I have seen him drop one punt return that was in the Beanie Bowl. In some cases, 5 and 7 is enough to get bowl eligible. I don't know if Arkansas has the academics for that or not, to be honest. I mean, a lot of times 5 and 7 teams, if they have the highest APR, then they can get bowl eligible. How's Colton Jackson doing this season? Sure, I hope he is better than he has been. Stephen Baker asked, so Colton has been your starting left tackle. He has been injured with a foot, but he's been back full strong now. Todd Drake says, I just joined the show. Do you think Nick Starkle and KJ Jefferson will see play? I think it's more likely that Nick Starkle and John Stephen Jones maybe see KJ, but I think maybe just hold off a little bit. You can still get him in 4 games, with some of these non-conference games. All right, we've got them all. We got through all the questions. Did Starkle ever comment about not being named the starter? No, he hasn't. I mean, he was at a funeral yesterday. So, all right, I want to thank everybody. As you exit out of here, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead real quick, throw us 5 stars. Write a review if you want, but throw us those 5 stars, and that lets everybody else know that you like the content and spreads our word, gets our show more popular. Always on Facebook Live. If you haven't thrown a thumb up right now. If you haven't thrown a thumb up right now, thumb up right now. Same deal with YouTube. Go ahead and throw us a like if you like the content that we're providing. Also available on Spotify and Stitcher. HawgSports.com is just $1 right now for your first month, or 30% off for your first year. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Going to be exciting. We'll be back on Facebook Live pretty soon after the game. I'll do my post-game reaction like I always do. I don't know if I'm going to do – I usually do like a walk and chat kind of deal, like a walk and talk coming out of the stadium or down on the field. So I'll either do it that way or I'll just come on home and do it in studio. So I haven't decided how I want to do that yet. I might do the walk and talk and then come back on Monday or Sunday and do the show. So for Danny West, for Pete Roulier, this has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, and we'll catch you next time.